This is Pat Walker, Mission Winners, doing a video overview of the ETFs. We have weekly on the left and daily on the right. All right. And this is US robotics, and it's just kind of chopping around. There's a decent base here, okay, but it's just a little choppy. It needs to really push through that line, okay. Now here's an important lesson for all of us. You can say, well, okay, that doesn't look too bad. Gosh, I wonder what's in there. You can punch up BOTZ and look for the top 10 holdings. That will help you narrow down your focus on stocks to potentially look at. Look at those ones and see the ones that are the best. You've got yourself a good shopping list. Let's continue onwards. Here we go. Cloud computing, this is lagging. Now here's the other side of the coin. You can say, this doesn't look so good. What does that tell you? Stay away from the cloud computing stocks. Don't overthink it. It's not there. Move on. Cloud computing is nothing. Commodities, they're lagging. There's nothing to go on with it. And again, this is weekly on the left and daily on the right. There's nothing good on the daily. Leave it alone. It's below the falling 50-day. See this green line? That's the 50-day moving average line. I said this for years at the meetups. Price, the air is better above the, the air is better or the price is better above the 50-day and bad below. Keep it simple. DDM is picking up a little bit here now. See this? This is the Dow Jones leveraged ETF, okay? And what does this tell us? Well, it's been kind of sloppy and choppy, but I look here and what do you see? I see a cup with a handle. Now note this is important. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is only 30 stocks and it's price weighted, all right? So, but it does say the Dow's improving a little bit. That's good to know. It's an improvement in the markets. Let's continue onwards. You'll see better than that in a minute. Diamond's also picking up. That's the non-leveraged ETF for the Dow. Okay, electric autonomous vehicles, ain't nothing good here, folks. Look at this, below all the moving averages. Leave it alone. What does that tell you? Stay away from electric vehicles. There we go. At this point in time, maybe someday they'll turn, but for right now, there's not a lot of power there. Okay, this is just chopping around here. It's needs to show some power through here. It's just basing, okay, but there's not a lot of strength in it. You can say, how can I say that? Always look at the price and volume bars. Combine the two variables together. Look at this bar. That's serious selling. Do you see a lot of green in here recently? I see primarily red. They're selling it. Leave it alone. Done. IBD 50, there's not a lot of leadership in the IBD 50, folks. Look at that. There's no power so far. I mean, there's a little bit on Friday. Maybe it'll turn up, but at this point in time, there's not a lot. Ton of overhead supply. This is a great proxy for the growth stocks in the market, the leading growth stocks. IBD 50 is a great list of stocks, okay? They've been vetted. And take a look at the weekly. There's not a lot of power yet. Maybe it'll change, but at this point in time, not a lot of power. First Trust, Dorsey, right? There's nothing good going on there. FV, leave that alone. China, lagging. Leave it alone. I mean, look at you're not going to see this in any chart book say, this is what you look for to buy. There's nothing there. Just move on. Now, what does that tell you? Be careful with Chinese stocks. Done. Gold miners basing a little bit here. Okay. Broke out from this base, lifted up, and then here, I'll show you something. There's the base. Broke out. And now it's pulled back a little bit. This was on the list and was bought. And you managed it. Not a huge move. You managed it. It's basing here on the 20. What's it need to do? It needs to show some power. But note, there's some distribution in this chart. Look. Do you see that? Look at the red bars versus the green bars. Some distribution. Be cautious. Gold, lagging, not a lot of power there. Move on. Biotechnology, yeah, but it's kind of underperforming here. Needs to get above that white line. This is a great lesson for everybody. Right here. Clean and simple base. Everybody can see it. Here it is. Needs to take out that one till it starts to show some power through that white line. Be careful with biotechnology. Move on. I mean, it's that simple, folks. Oil and gas, lagging. It's below the falling 50-day. I said this for the years. I still say this. Price is good above a rising 50-day and bad below a falling 50-day. It's that simple. Don't overthink it. Just get in line with it. It'll make life easier for you. Software technology, now look, this is above the rising 50-day. It's kind of loose here though, okay? It fell on heavy volume, kind of a loose pattern, needs to show some more strength. But it's above the moving average. Technology, software, it's improving and not a bad weekly chart. There you go. You may be looking at some software stocks. There we go. Medicine's hanging in there. Look at this. You could punch up IHI and find out what are the top 10 holdings. And you can say, well, that doesn't look too bad. It broke out on heavy volume. And I do believe there was one stock that did it, and I forget which one, but it did it. And now it looks like it's pushing here decent. You can punch up and see if there's any decent medicine stocks, medical, all right, in IHI. Mid-cap, iShares mid-cap, there's nothing here. It's below the falling 50-day. Leave it alone. Move on. Stay away from mid-cap. Aerospace and defense, lagging. Leave it alone. U.S. home construction. Well, that one doesn't look too bad, does it? Home builders. By the way, you see this chart? That's why we own, I think, 3 or 4 home building stocks right now. All right? There you go. It works. Growth. It's hanging in. What do you see here? I see right here, it says a couple with a high handle right here. What does that say? Oh, maybe I need to look at IBW. Look at some growth stocks. S&P 500 growth. Do you see where it says that there? S&P 500 growth. Yeah, growth stocks. There you go. Not value, growth. Small caps lagging. Look. There you go. It's lagging. There's not much to do with it. What does that say? Stay away from small caps. Done. U.S. real estate picking up a little bit. Just a little bit. Not bad. Not a lot of power, though. Ton of overhead supply on the daily and the weekly. All right? Be careful with that. Transportation's lagging. Look at this. You're not going to find this in any book saying, this is what you look for to buy. There's another very important lesson. Lift it up, but note how the volume dropped off on this bar quite a bit. There's no power and it's below the falling 50-day. That's the green line. Leave it alone. This is here's a foundation for everybody that'll help you. Focus on things that are above the rising 50-day moving average line. Okay? You will dramatically improve your investing results. I'll just tell you that right up front. That's from a guy who was running money in 1986, who was completely out of the market before the crash of 87. So yeah, you got a little bit of seat time experience here, okay? And yeah, all my managed accounts were out before the crash. For that, I'm thankful. Oh, and I have to share something. Credit where credit's due. Who was very instrumental in that? Martin Zweig, who I had the great pleasure of meeting a couple of times. It was one of the sadder days in my career is when he passed away. He was a kind soul, to say the least. But anyway, his book, by the way, Martin Zweig's book, what is that, Winning on Wall Street, is mandatory reading. Got it on my bookshelf over there. It's a great book, okay? Continue onwards. Here we go. Regional banking. What does this say? Stay away from regional banking stocks. That's it. You're done. Well, maybe this is the bottom. Focus on strength. Don't look for the strength. Look for what is strong. That's a powerful statement right there. Don't look for the strength. Look for what is currently strong now. There we go. Mid-cap still lagging. Needs to get above this line. For right now, be careful with mid-cap stocks. Move on. Oil services. Look at this. This was really good to us the end of last year. But right now, there's nothing there. Oil services, stay away. Pharmaceuticals, kind of hanging in here, but choppy on the weekly. Not a lot of power here. And you can say, oh, there's a couple of green bars. There's no volume. Leave it alone. Move on. Done. Excuse me. Software. There's not a lot of power in software here, folks. Look at this. It's below the falling 50-day. Be careful with software stocks. Move on. NASDAQ 100. Now, that doesn't look too bad, does it? You can see, I just showed you a bunch of stuff that's like, it doesn't look so good on the weekly and the daily. This doesn't look so bad. NASDAQ 100 stocks. Yeah, you know what I think of? I think MAXLIST stocks. There it is. That doesn't look too bad. Something that bears watching, okay? I'm not saying buy it now, but I am saying it guides us that, oh, I just saw a bunch of ETFs that look pretty crummy. The NASDAQ 100 doesn't look too bad. Look for some NASDAQ 100 stocks. There you go. QQQ, same situation. NASDAQ 100 stocks, non-leveraged. Retail's kind of hanging in there. Doesn't look too bad, but not a lot of power. Silver, it's okay. Okay, it's okay. On the 20-day, see if you can find a base for some silver stocks. Steel, flip this. Here you go. Silver above the rising 20-day. Steel below the falling 50-day, the green line. In 1 second, literally less than 1 second, I'm staying away from steel stocks. Do you know how powerful that is to know? It narrows down our focus. We have a limited amount of money. We have a limited amount of time. I don't want to look at a million different things that are not a million, hundreds of charts that don't fit our parameters. The reason I do this at Mission Winners is to teach people what to look for, to save time, to be more efficient, and help you make more money faster with less risk. That's why I'm doing this. And I don't know if you know this, but I have fun doing it too. This is true confession. I'm very shy, and this helps me get out of being shy. Just kidding. Semiconductors. What does this say? Be careful with semiconductors. Not a lot of power there. Spiders picking up a little bit. The S&P 500. That's good to know. Look, you've got yourself a cup and a handle. Decent volume. Okay, so now we saw QQQ, QLD. Now we're seeing it with the spiders. Gosh, I wonder what would be next. Oh, gee whiz, it's SSO. I don't know about you. That kind of looks like a cup with a handle. What was the slight drawback on Friday? It lifted up towards the line. Not a lot of volume. So here's the moral of the story, folks. SSO needs to push through that line, and it needs to push through on volume. There you go. That could be a potential buy. Now, this is the daily. The weekly doesn't look too bad either with weekly volume. There we go. Combining both variables together helps us make better decisions. Solar stocks. They had a flare out. I had to say it. It's dad humor. My kids would just shake their heads. My grandkids would shake their heads. There's nothing here. Leave it alone. Small cap. Look at this. I just showed you some charts that there's nothing there. Stay away from small cap. Move on. Uranium. Yeah, but tons of overhead, folks. Look at this. This isn't leadership. Leave it alone. Stay away from uranium. Oil, lagging. There's really no power there. Leave it alone. Consumer discretionary. Now that one doesn't look too bad, does it? VCR. Look at the base. What does that say? Now, there's not a lot of volume here. It's going to need some power through it. But it is basing decent. You could maybe look at some consumer discretionary stocks. You could punch up VCR and just look up the top 10 holdings. There could be some candidates there. That's systematizing. There you go. Continue onwards. Aerospace and defense? No. There's not. Look, it's junk. Leave it alone. There's nothing there for now. It'll change, but right now, there. Biotechnology is really lagging. It's a low level cup with a handle down here, but it's low level with a lot of overhead. Okay? Be careful with that. With biotechnology. Home building's picking up a little bit. See this? There's another home builder stock. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to show you something in a minute. I think you'll get a kick out. Here we go. Materials, still kind of lagging, not a lot of power. Communications now, that doesn't look too bad. Here's the weekly, here's the daily. Look at the weekly. Big cup with a handle. Okay, so what is that? That's XLC. That's something that you might want to take a look into for potential buy. But you know what else you could do? Look at the top 10 holdings in XLC. That's how we connect the dots. Right there, folks. You now know more than most investors out there. There we go. The rules, the tactics work. Energy still kind of lagging. Financials are still kind of lagging. Industrials are really lagging, leaving them alone. Technology. Oh, look at this. What stocks are picking up? Think MAXLIST stocks. I made a video on it. Do you think some of them are in XLK? Yeah, they are. Does this look like a decent cup and handle? Yes, it does. Something to take a look into. XLK and or leading technology stocks. Now you're getting it. Okay. Consumer staples is hanging in, not too bad. You can punch up and see if there's some consumer staple stocks that are worth looking at. Healthcare, yeah, it's okay. Kind of a cup with a handle. It's V-shaped. Watch. Needs to get above that line, okay? Healthcare related. XLY, consumer discretionary. Doesn't look too bad. It's basing there. Consumer. Flip the coin. You can say, oh, that doesn't look too bad. And then look at this. In a half a second, I'm not looking at any metals and mining stocks. Isn't that great to know? You know, there's all these stocks out there. Why look at a bunch of different stocks? I want to narrow it down and look for things that have potential to make me money. That's what we do. Oil, nothing. Retail, nothing. Software, lagging, nothing. And back to the top. Now we move on to the MAXLIST stocks. Apple lifted through these tops. It was actually strong on Thursday, outperforming the market, as you can see. It looks pretty good. It's leading. That's Apple. Doesn't look too bad. If you buy it, it's a little bit extended to control risk. Buy less shares. Continue onwards. Amazon. This rallied up Thursday on good volume. And there's a valuable lesson here for everybody. They had earnings Thursday after the close. The stock gapped up huge after earnings Thursday afternoon after the close. And then news came out and the stock dropped down. The important lesson is this. Please be very careful. Please be very prudent in relation to your actions with earnings. All right? You can be a hero, but you can get stung. This isn't bad, okay? This isn't bad. Just pointing it out. It's a little loose right now. Let it settle down and we'll see if it can do something. All right, nothing right now. Alibaba, there's nothing there. Literally in 1 second, you look and say, I'm not looking at Alibaba. There's power. You've trained your eyes and minds on what to look for to buy and what to look for to avoid. And the sister stock, BIDU, nothing's there. I mean, there's nothing there. Leave it alone. Move on. Google. Now look at this. You can say, gosh, I see these tops on the daily. Look at the weekly. Look at this. And look at how it closed near the highs, closed at the highs. Look at this bar, closed near the highs on a pickup in volume. Folks, MAXLIST stock takes out these tops here. By the way, you see that little green hash mark? Yeah, I already have the price alert set. I've got it set. I'm making this video on Saturday. I've got it set. I'm ready to go. I'm not saying it's going to go breakout. I'm not saying it's going to work, but I do know this from years of experience, more times than not, this setup is a viable setup. Also note the volume pickup on the weekly this week. There we go. Watch it and see what happens. Fair warning though, you've got a tail bar here, you've got a tail bar here, and you have a tail bar here. It needs to push through that, okay? Know that. Just things to be aware of. This is what we teach in Mission Winners. Goldman Sachs, it's a low level cup with a handle down here, all right, with a ton of overhead supply. Compare and contrast. There's Google. It has overhead supply from way back here. Maybe that's digested. Here's Goldman Sachs. This is recent overhead supply, folks. More recent selling. Be aware of that. But you can see it's forming a little base right here. Little cup, low level cup with a handle. There's potential. But what is it going to need? It's going to need to push through there with volume. That's a fact, okay? Continue onwards. MasterCard started to pick up a little bit on Friday. That's good to see. Little whippy here though, that's wide and loose patterns. Be careful there. Wide and loose charts like this, whipping back and forth, that's indicative of high investor emotions. High investor emotions and good decision making are kind of mutually exclusive, all right? Just for what it's worth. But it did pick up. Didn't really pick up on a decent volume, but not a pickup from the day before. And again, it's kind of loose, so just be aware of that, okay? Meta. You see the base down here? We were buying in here. See the clean and simple base? See the volume coming into it? We were buying here, added to it. I'm not bragging, please. No, I didn't do that. But sold some into strength, pulled back, but because of these sells, we were able to weather this pullback, and then we caught this. The buys down lower, here's the weekly, folks. The buys down lower, excuse me, I'm sorry. In here, I went back too early. Buys in here. We weren't buying down in here. Well, maybe we were. I can't remember. That was back then. We're talking recent here. But you can see the buys here, working. Let it work. Now, there's the lesson. Here's the other part of the lesson. I ask you, always control risk. There's no edge in buying up here. Okay, you're chasing price. Wait for it to form a base before you buy. I'm asking you, always. High emotions and good investing are mutually exclusive. Please don't chase price. That'll help you. I'm going to point it out. Here's Microsoft. See the clean and simple base and it lifted? See the cup and a handle on the weekly? See the volume coming into it? This was on the list and it's working. Entries down in here too, and it's working. There you go. We'll let it work. You see what happens. Let's continue onwards. By the way, the recent highs were up in here, the recent buys. Okay, so there we go. Netflix, there's not much happening there, folks. There's nothing really clean. Leave it alone for right now. NVDA, this looks pretty good here, folks. This is forming another shelf, all right? Watch and see what happens with it. And I have to point this out to you. You see down here, that base down there? We were buying down here in January. This was on the key list. It's a MAXLIST stock. Look at the base. Look at the volume pickup through the pivot on that bar. They all don't do this, but it sure is nice when they do. There we go. And yes, people that bought it down there, the VIPs, they're still in it. Now, did they sell some into strength? Yes, but they're in it. There we go. So what's it doing here? Well, here's the weekly. Here's the dip. It's forming another base. By the way, oh, look, I've already got the price alert set on it. There you go. Tesla. It's sloppy. There's nothing to do with it. Leave it alone. You see this break? I'm going to show you something. People say, show us one that didn't work out, Pat. I'll show you. We bought Tesla through here. This was on the key list. You can see the clean and simple shelf top here. It's a MAXLIST stock, and it lifted off, and it did it on good volume. Look, so we were buying, not up here, pushing through the line, right in here, okay? The next day it starts to drop down and drop. You know what we do? It's dropping like this. We sold it. We sold it for a small loss. We didn't buy it up here. We bought it in here, sold it for a small loss. We don't argue with price, ever. Price is good. This is why I love clean and simple, folks. Price is good above the line and bad below. It lifted off and they took it right back down. Well, it's Tesla. Gosh, I got to stay with it. No, if it's not working, it's not working. By the way, I'm not knocking the stock, not knocking the company, nothing like this. I'm just looking at the chart. I don't argue with price. And we sold it. We lost money. Not much. We lost a little bit. And again, we didn't buy it up here. We bought it pushing through the line. Look at the volume pickup. Helps us keep losses much smaller. Remember this. This is a maxim I've taught for years at the IBD meetups. For years. Price is good above the line and bad below. It's that simple. No day trading. Just looking at the daily chart. All right, there we go. Is there anything to do with it now? Nope. Leave it alone. Continue onwards. Visa's form. What's the sister stock to Visa? Gosh, let me think here. What's the other one? Yeah, MasterCard, right? Here's Visa. Look at the weekly base. Look at the daily base. You ready for this? Watch this. We're going to go back to it. MasterCard. Kind of a similar pattern, isn't it? There's MasterCard with a long base. You can see how we connect the dots. Here's Visa. Which one's stronger, folks? Visa's a little bit stronger. Look at here. See the weekly? You see the base on the weekly? And now I will go back to MasterCard. It's not near these highs, right? It's not near the highs of this bar. Visa is. So that is a valuable lesson. What do we look for? Maybe Visa. Maybe Visa will go. Now, it didn't do really great here at the end of the week, okay? So it's going to take some power to get back up here. Just for what it's worth. Anyway, that's the MAXLIST. It's a great list of stocks. I will say this is true confession, and the VIPs know this. If I only had one list of stocks to look at, it's this right here. I love these stocks. Huge money made in these stocks. You can say, really? Well, I guess this one's not too bad, is it? And I guess this one's not too bad either. There you go. MAXLIST stock, huge money moves into them. But I stress, always focus on clean and simple base entry. Look for volume confirmation through the pivot. Never argue with price. Don't ever get in the mindset, just because it's a MAXLIST stock, it's going to go up or it won't drop much. No, you don't know how far it can drop. Never argue with price.
Thank you for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit like. Maybe hit that subscribe button. We come up with new content nearly every day. Also, check out the videos on the right. YouTube recommends the one on the top, and the bottom one is something we thought you might enjoy. See you next time.